Hi, my name is Tazmyn May from the channel Two Books and Tazmyn, and welcome back to Penguin Platform. I have recently been really getting into manga, and as I didn't know where to start on my journey into such a vast style of art, I thought I would do a little introduction for you based off of my introduction to manga as to where to start, which genres equals which mangas, and give you a few little baby reviews about which ones I have loved so far and some that are on my TBR. There are three sort of categories. There are going to be the contemporary ones, the lighter fantasy ones, and then the dark sort of more gory fantasy ones. All of the timestamps are going to be down below, and I'm also going to put some more recommendations and other ones that are on my TBR that I unfortunately will not have enough time to talk through in this video today. So make sure that you check out the description for even more books that you can sink your teeth into. The first genre that I want to dive into today is the fantasy books. The first manga that I want to recommend to you today is one of my all-time favourite stories, just of all time, regardless of any genre, any art form, any way of consuming it. This is just one of my favourites, and the manga is far better than the anime, I can confirm. And that is The Promised Neverland. I read the first 2 volumes so far, and I've watched the first season of the TV show. But people that have watched both seasons have said that the second season just isn't that great, and that you should just read all the books instead, so that's what I'm doing. I couldn't find the first few volumes anywhere physically, which is why I've got them on Kindle, and I'm not mad about that, because when I finish one at 3 AM in the bath, I can just download the next one instantly. It's working really, really well. For me, not for my bank balance. Volume 1 of The Promised Neverland follows predominantly 3 young kids who are 11 within the next 6 months, about to turn 12. And they and all of their other siblings have been brought up in an orphanage, in a sort of care home. And they just have the best goddamn time of their lives. One by one, they start to get fostered by different families, varying ages, but no one stays longer than the age of 12. And one day, 2 of our main 3 discover that there is a dark, dark secret, and they are not happy about it. I watched the first season of the anime before I read the books, and I have to say, fucking shitting god, I didn't see it coming. I did not see it coming. It's so lovely and fluffy and nice, and everyone loves— No! Ooh! I mean, I guess look up trigger warnings for all of these, because there's a lot of horrible stuff that goes on in these books. They don't know anything outside this world of theirs, and suddenly it all comes shattering down. And one of the things that I love about this is that the children are written so well. Something that I hate about poorly written young adult is that a lot of the time it very much feels like adults writing what they think teenagers and young people should think about. Like, oh, it's the end of the world, let me find my makeup so I look nice for photos for the end of the world selfies. Like, no, and that's genuinely something that I have read. But this is excellent. There are so many different reactions from these different characters as they uncover the truth. They're not all stable, but they all work, and they work together, and they use their intelligence, and they try to outsmart people, and it feels so real. I can almost imagine like some adults reading the books and being like, that's ridiculous, children aren't that intelligent, children would just cry. But children are capable of so much more than the majority of adults believe them capable of, and I feel like this story deals with it so well. I'm so excited to keep on reading, and then I'll probably go back once I finish the books, watch series 2, and be depressed at how badly it was adapted. The next manga that I want to recommend is very different from that one. It's more of a, I'd say, middle grade fantasy, and that is Cardcaptor Sakura. So I've heard about this for a very long time. The version, again, that I got on Kindle is a kind of collector's bind-up of, I think, the first 3 volumes. Since then, there has been like a sequel series called Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card. I don't know when that happens chronologically, but I'm just so glad that there is so much that I can devour. Sakura is, I think, either 8 or 10, like she is a kid, and she discovers one day a massive old tome in her father's attic, and it used to keep sort of like these tarot card like things in which they contained spirits, some of them good, some of them evil, but they were escaped, and Sakura is one of the only people who can help capture them. She's the card captor. Sakura. Now, this is the second manga of this sort of, I would say, specific genre of sort of middle grade young girls saving the world against these aliens that's never quite explained how they got there in the first place. And this one does it so much better than the other one, and the other one is Tokyo Mew Mew, which is my entire childhood. If anyone's coming from my channel, you know how much I love Tokyo Mew Mew. But Cardcaptor Sakura is just written so much better. The characters are so much more fleshed out. The family relationships are existent. Whereas in Tokyo Mew Mew, it's just like, a fight. Oh, another fight. Oh, a crush. Oh, another fight. Whereas this, it actually makes sense. There are arcs. There are things going on at school that impact her in her card capturing. Of course, it's a bit ridiculous when she has to like get changed and get all dressed up for when she's going to capture cards. But even then, in the translation, it's done sort of tongue-in-cheek, where she's like, well, obviously, I've got to look amazing for this. It feels a lot more self-aware. I love Sakura. I love her dad. I love her brother. She doesn't have a mum. Her mum, I think she died when she was really, really young. And that sort of grief, the emptiness of not knowing one of your parents or not remembering them very well is also very, very well written. Content warning for the fact that her mum was a student and her dad, I believe, was her professor. And they got married, I think, as soon as she left school. So that is not cool. I like to think that we over here at Penguin Platform will know that it's not okay for teachers to seduce their students. That is actually capable of being locking up in the prison and time. So we don't like that. I like everything else though. The next contemporary fantasy that I want to recommend is actually my current read. I've only read the first that much of it, and that is Fruits Basket. Again, I've got the collector's edition, volume 1. Like I mentioned, I'm only in the beginning of this so far, but I am really, really enjoying it. It follows our main character, Toru, who after many family tragedies is now living in a tent. Something that I think is quite interesting that a lot of Western people reading manga may not know is that in at least East Asia, there isn't such thing as child services. So in things like this, if the kid is homeless, they're homeless. If they can't be taken in by anybody, that's it. They just live on the street. Like in England, you'd be like, yo, I think this 15-year-old kid doesn't have a home, and the police would come in and try and help them. But in these situations, they can't. So luckily for Toru, her tent was accidentally pitched on the land belonging to the Soru clan. And she goes to school with a couple of the boys. I was going to say that the thing that happens might be a spoiler, but it's in the literal blurb, so that's fine, I can say it. The Soru clan can turn into the animals of the lunar zodiac. In this, they call it the Chinese zodiac, which is just generally what that has been called for a long time, but to be more inclusive of course, all East Asian cultures, all Asian cultures that celebrate the lunar calendar. We now call it the lunar cycle and the lunar animals. But so the ones that she knows can be transformed into a rat, a dog and a cat, I think they're the ones. And I'm assuming there are going to be all the others. Like there's a dragon and a tiger. I was born in the year of the tiger. I'm very, very eager to keep on reading this. I just don't have a clue how on earth this is going to progress. If it's going to go down the route of her being sort of sucked into this fantasy world and she then maybe has magical powers and she has to help them with something to do with the animals. Or if maybe the entire thing is set in their sort of high school situation and they happen to have these magical powers, but it all still is about her and her family troubles and high school drama or something like that. I don't know, and I'm so excited. This is a very, very highly acclaimed series. I've been recommended this by a family friend for like the last 7 years now. Marina, thank you. I'm now going to start with the contemporary mangas, and I'm very happy to say that there are quite a few LGBTQ+ ones here. The first one I'm going to recommend is A White Rose in Bloom, which I believe only has a few volumes so far translated into English. So if, like me, you're massively daunted by the manga series that have 30+ volumes in, this will be a good one to jump on now because you can read as the series gets translated. This follows 2 young girls in a boarding school who are the only 2 students in this boarding school that have to stay during the Christmas holidays, and they gradually start developing feelings for each other. One of them is, of course, very, very aloof and mysterious and is all like, oh, no, don't talk to me. You go away. And then the other one is like me and it's like, hi, I want to know everything. This left on a massive cliffhanger, as I'm sure actually all volumes of manga does, which is infuriating because I need the rest of them immediately, and I can't. But I'm very, very excited for this. And actually, there are quite a lot of queer mangas available, which I wasn't expecting, as homophobia is still quite big in East Asia. But there is, so I will leave a big list down below because I've made a list for myself to read in the future. The next one that I'm going to recommend is one that I actually haven't yet read, so can I recommend it? I'm not sure. One of my best internet friends, Holly, aka Spoopy Hole, bought this for me, and it is I Hear the Sunspot Volume 1. Now, this is a male-male romance. This is one of Spoops' favourite series of all time, and she got it for me because she knew that I'm big into queer stuff and I was just getting into manga. As that was one very, very well thought out recommendation to me from a friend, I thought I would recommend it to you now, who are also my friends. This next one is one that I haven't yet read, but I'm very, very eager to, and this is the collector's edition of Orange, which on the back is described as a sci-fi romance. It says that the main character receives a letter from herself 10 years in the future, and at first she's like, nah, it's a prank, whatever, but things that the letter says start coming true, and the letter tells her to watch over a new transfer student. Their destinies become intertwined, and apparently it's heart-wrenching. Like, when I had this in my little pile of books that I was going to buy in Forbidden Planet in London, someone else saw that I had this in my stack, and they were like, you are going to need tissues. And I was like, yep, I've heard that. So I'm going to stock up and then give this bad boy a go. This collector's bind-up has the first 3 volumes in the series. It's like a American sitcom. They all have 24 episodes in the series, and they're all quite short and quick to get through, and you just devour them and devour them and devour them, and then you find out that 10 years have passed, and suddenly you're sad that there's no more. That's what these are all doing to me so far. Now, the final few are ones that I don't know if I can entirely say I recommend myself, because I have watched the anime of a few of these mangas and I really, really enjoyed them. And then in some instances, I stopped watching the anime because I wanted to read the manga. So I'm recommending them based on the fact that they're incredibly famous and I enjoyed the adaptation. But on the whole, what I've heard is that the originals, the manga, of course, are better. The book is always better. I'm going to start with the one that I have not heard about on BookTube. The others, I think, generally people are aware of their existence. The one that I love that I haven't heard very much about is Soul Eater. Now, this is so funny and dark at the same time. If you know anything about My Hero Academia, I would recommend this in that it has a sort of magical school setting, but it's darker and I believe it's a bit more explicit. I remember there being boobies. So soul eaters are essentially scythes who have to collect the souls of people that are alive. And I believe we start off this series by having a few young soul eaters who need to collect something like 100 souls in order to progress to the next level of training. I remember the characters being really quirky and funny. There are soul eaters, there are witches, as you can tell from this outfit. Of course she's a witch. There are many other supernatural characters as well. It's so like high-key adventure with a massive, massive cast of characters that all have very, very unique personalities. And of course, who doesn't love a magic school setting? Ticking all of the boxes. The next one I'm going to recommend is one that I actually know very, very little about. I know that my lovely friend Jodie from Vanilla Moon is currently reading this series, and that is Tokyo Ghoul. Now, once again, this is a massive series that has spin-offs as well, and I'm so excited to be able to get through to these. But this is in a world where humans and ghouls, which are essentially, I believe, vampire, zombie kind of hybrids, live, and they're not friends until one day our main character somehow ends up becoming half human, half ghoul, and then he has to try and find his place in the world and goes on adventures and has to learn about ghoul society versus human society, and he has to learn how to master his powers. I believe it's very gory though. It's like horror. Comparing it to a horror film, I believe this is kind of yeah, that's like Saw film level. I just saw something that I really didn't like. The penultimate one that I'm going to be recommending in this video is, of course, Death Note. Now, this was the first manga/anime I ever got into. This is another story where the main characters who are young are highly intelligent, and it feels believable. It feels genuinely like a teenager is figuring out this new world that they've been thrust into. So Light, our main character, suddenly one day discovers something called a Death Note, and he discovers that if you write names in it, they die, and if you specify how you want them to die, that is how they will die. This notebook was accidentally dropped by a death god, a Shinigami god, and they sort of build a rapport. I wouldn't call them friends. They become best friends. Sort of like a Aziraphale and Crowley like bromance, or they know they shouldn't be friends, but they end up really, really caring for each other. Oh, I know what else I can say. Don't watch the whitewashed version of the film that Netflix made. Read the manga and watch the anime. Don't watch the one with white people in. And the final one I'm going to be talking to you about today is, of course, Attack on Titan. Oh my god, I love this so much. So this first series, which is just called Attack on Titan, follows what remains of humanity when these things called Titans, like you can see a person there and there's a Titan and they're not very friendly. In fact, they like to eat us humans and we don't know where they came from, or at least in this point we don't know where they came from. There is a prequel series called like Before the Wall or Before the Rise, Before something, have the book cover here, and that is a prequel to this original series. This is absolutely fantastic. It's like an apocalyptic story. It looks at people who have lost absolutely everything and how on earth can they find any reason to keep going? How on earth, after they've seen their family be massacred, can they still want to live? You follow characters who were young when it was Before the Fall! I think it was called Before the Fall! Our main characters were children when the fall happened, and it follows them through all of the trauma and heartbreak of losing your family, losing your loved ones, and they join essentially an army to try and find a way to kill the Titans. And Brogan. So many plot twists! So good. So good! Like, it's famous for a reason. This is famous for a goddamn reason. It's so good. It's so good. All of them that I recommended to you today are so good. And that's it. That's all of them. Remember, I've got loads more recommendations down below, and by recommendations, I mean books that I have heard of that exist. I can't recommend them myself because I haven't yet read them. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations of your own, please leave them down below. See you soon. Take care. Mwah. Goodbye.